Hello everyone! Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about cherry fruit. A cherry is the fruit of many plants of the genus Prunus and is a fleshy drupestone fruit. Commercial cherries are obtained from cultivars of several species, such as the sweet Prunus avium and the sour Prunus cerasus. The name cherry also refers to the cherry tree and its wood, and is sometimes applied to almonds and visually similar flowering trees in the genus Prunus, as an ornamental cherry or cherry blossom. Wild cherry may refer to any of the cherry species growing outside cultivation, although Prunus avium is often referred to specifically by the name wild cherry. In the British Isles, variety cherry tree in blossom, Prunus sub. Cerasus contains species that are typically called cherries. They are known as true cherries and distinguished by having a single winter bud per axile, by having the flowers in small corymbs or umbels of several together, occasionally solitary, for example P. cerula, some species with short racemes, for example P. maki, and by having smooth fruit with no obvious groove. Bush cherries are characterized by having 3 winter buds per axile. They used to be included in Prunus sub. Cerasus, but phylogenetic research indicates they should be a section of Prunus sub. Prunus sub. Pedis contains most race mode species that are called cherries, which used to be included in the genera Pedis bird cherries, Laurocerasus cherry laurels, Pygium tropical species such as African cherry and Madenia. The English word cherry derives from Old Northern French or Norman, cherais from the Latin cerasum, referring to an ancient Greek region. Kerasis Kappa Epsilon Rho Alpha Sigma Omicron Sigma near Geyerson, Turkey, from which cherries were first thought to be exported to Europe. The word cherry is also used for some species that bear fruits with similar size and shape, even though they are not in the same Prunus genus. Some of these species include the Jamaican cherry, Mintinja calabura, and the Spanish cherry Mimosops allengi. The indigenous range of the sweet cherry extends through most of Europe, Western Asia, and parts of Northern Africa, and the fruit has been consumed throughout its range since prehistoric times. A cultivated cherry is recorded as having been brought to Rome by Lucius Licinius Lucullus from northeastern Anatolia, also known as the Pontus region, in 70 BCE. Cherries were introduced into England at Tainham, near Sittingbourne in Kent, by order of Henry VIII, who had tasted them in Flanders. Cherries, along with many other fruiting trees and plants, probably first arrived in North America around 1606 in the New France colony of Port Royal, which is modern-day Annapolis Royal, Nova Scotia. Richard Guthrie described in 1629 the fruitful valley adorned with great variety of fruit trees, chestnuts, pears, apples, cherries, plums, and all other fruits. The most common cherry species in cultivation is sweet cherry P. avium, to which most cherry cultivars belong. The sour cherry P. cerasus is also cultivated mainly for cooking. Both species originate in Europe and Western Asia. They usually do not cross-pollinate. In East Asia, Chinese cherry P. pseudocerasus and downy cherry P. tomentosa have been cultivated for thousands of years for their sweet fruits. Irrigation, spraying, labor, and their propensity to damage from rain and hail make cherries relatively expensive. Nonetheless, demand is high for the fruit. In commercial production, sour cherries, as well as sweet cherries, sometimes are harvested by using a mechanized shaker. Hand picking is also widely used for sweet, as well as sour cherries to harvest the fruit to avoid damage to both fruit and trees. Common rootstocks include Mazard, Mahaleb Colt, and Gisela series, a dwarfing rootstock that produces trees significantly smaller than others, only 8 to 10 feet, 2.5 to 3 meters tall. Sour cherries require no pollinizer, while few sweet varieties are self-fertile. A cherry tree will take 3 to 4 years once it is planted in the orchard to produce its first crop of fruit, and 7 years to attain full maturity. Like most temperate latitude trees, cherry trees require a certain number of chilling hours each year to break dormancy and bloom and produce fruit. The number of chilling hours required depends on the variety. Because of this cold weather requirement, no members of the genus Prunus can grow in tropical climates. See production section for more information on chilling requirements. Cherries have a short growing season and can grow in most temperate latitudes. Cherries blossom in April in the northern hemisphere, and the peak season for the cherry harvest is in the summer. In southern Europe in June, in North America in June, in England in mid-July, and in southern British Columbia, Canada in June to mid-August. In many parts of North America, they are among the first tree fruits to flower and ripen in mid-spring. In the southern hemisphere, cherries are usually at their peak in late December and are widely associated with Christmas. Berlat is an early variety which ripens during the beginning of December. Lapins ripens near the end of December, and Sweetheart finish slightly later. Generally, the cherry can be a difficult fruit tree to grow and keep alive. In Europe, the first visible pest in the growing season soon after blossom, in April in Western Europe, usually is the black cherry aphid cherry black fly, Mrs. Cherasi, which causes leaves at the tips of branches to curl, with the black fly colonies exuding a sticky secretion which promotes fungal growth on the leaves and fruit. At the fruiting stage in June, July Europe, the cherry fruit fly Rhagoletis cingulata and Rhagoletis cherasi lays its eggs in the immature fruit. Whereafter its larvae feed on the cherry flesh and exit through a small hole about 1 millimeter diameter, which in turn is the entry point for fungal infection of the cherry fruit after rainfall. In addition, cherry trees are susceptible to bacterial canker, Cytospora canker, brown rot of the fruit, root rot from overly wet soil, crown rot, and several viruses. In 2020, world production of sweet cherries was 2.61 million tons, with Turkey producing 28% of this total. Other major producers of sweet cherries were the United States and Chile. World production of sour cherries in 2020 was 1.48 million tons, led by Russia, Turkey, Ukraine, and Serbia. Major commercial cherry orchards in West Asia are in Turkey, Syria, Lebanon, and Azerbaijan. Major commercial cherry orchards in Europe are in Turkey, Italy, Spain, and other Mediterranean regions, and to a smaller extent in the Baltic states and southern Scandinavia. In France since the 1920s, the first cherries of the season come in April, May from the region of Sorette, Pyrenees Orientals, where the local producers send, as a tradition since 1932, the first crate of cherries to the President of the Republic. In the United States, most sweet cherries are grown in Washington, California, Oregon, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Important sweet cherry cultivars include Bing, Ulster, Rainier, Brooks, Tulare, King, and Sweetheart. Both Oregon and Michigan provide light-colored Royal and Napoleon, alternately Queen and cherries for the maraschino cherry process. Most sour, also called tart cherries, are grown in Michigan, followed by Utah, New York, and Washington. Sour cherries include Nanking and Evans, Traverse City. Michigan is called the cherry capital of the world, hosting a national cherry festival and making the world's largest cherry pie. The specific region of northern Michigan, known for tart cherry production, is referred to as the Traverse Bay region. Most cherry varieties have a chilling requirement of 800 or more hours, meaning that in order to break dormancy, blossom, and set fruit, the winter season needs to have at least 800 hours, where the temperature is below 7 degrees Celsius 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Low chill varieties requiring 300 hours or less are Mini Royal and Royal Lee, requiring cross-pollination, whereas the cultivar Royal Crimson is self-fertile. These varieties extend the range of cultivation of cherries to the mild winter areas of southern U.S. This is a boon to California producers of sweet cherries, as California is the second largest producer of sweet cherries in the U.S. Native and non-native sweet cherries grow well in Canada's provinces of Ontario and British Columbia, where an annual cherry festival has been celebrated for 7 consecutive decades in the Okanagan Valley town of Osoyoos. In addition to the Okanagan, other British Columbia cherry-growing regions are the Similkameen Valley and Kootenay Valley, all 3 regions together producing 5.5 million kilograms annually, or 60% of total Canadian output. Sweet cherry varieties in British Columbia include Rainier, Van Chelen, Lapins, Sweetheart, Skeena, Staccato, Crystalina, and Bing. In Australia, cherries are grown in all the states except for the Northern Territory. The major producing regions are located in the temperate areas within New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, and Tasmania. Western Australia has limited production in the elevated parts in the southwest of the state. Key production areas include Young, Orange, and Bathurst in New South Wales, Wandin, the Goulburn and Murray Valley areas in Victoria, the Adelaide Hills region in South Australia, and the Huon and Derwent Valleys in Tasmania. Key commercial varieties in order of seasonality include Empress, Merchant, Supreme, Ron's Siebling, Chelen, Ulster, Van, Bing, Stella, Nordwinder, Lapins, Simone, Regina, Cordia, and Sweetheart. New varieties are being introduced, including the late-season Staccato and early-season Sequoia. The Australian Cherry Breeding Program is developing a series of new varieties which are under testing evaluation. The New South Wales town of Young is called the Cherry Capital of Australia and hosts the National Cherry Festival. Raw sweet cherries are 82% water, 16% carbohydrates, 1% protein, and negligible in fat table. As raw fruit, sweet cherries provide little nutrient content per 100 g serving, as only dietary fiber and vitamin C are present in moderate content, while other vitamins and dietary minerals each supply less than 10% of the daily value DV per serving, respectively. Table. Compared to sweet cherries, raw sour cherries contain 50% more vitamin C per 100 g, 12% DV, and about 20 times more vitamin A percent DV. Beta-carotene. The cherry kernels, accessible by chewing or breaking the hard-shelled cherry pits, contain amygdalin, a chemical that releases the toxic compound hydrogen cyanide when ingested. The amount of amygdalin in each cherry varies widely, and symptoms would show only after eating several crushed pits. 3 to 4 of the Morello variety, or 7 to 9 of the red or black varieties. Swallowing the pits whole normally causes no complications. Cherry wood is valued for its rich color and straight grain in manufacturing fine furniture, particularly desks, tables, and chairs. Thank you for watching.